brighter this time to dance. Welcome to the show you'll live for. It is GINORMOUS. The date is August 6, 2025. Right now we are looking at a Boston Red Sox game against the Kansas City Chiefs. They are losing 6-2 in the bottom of the seventh. It is not looking good right now, but we have been on a 7-game winning streak as of late. We've already won this series. We've taken 2 out of 3 from the Kansas City Royals, so you know what? Hey, if it ends up not going well for us, barring a miracle, you can't win them all, and you just got to line up and you got to go to San Diego on Friday, try to win that series, and then go to Houston after that. So I'm not going to be too concerned, but that is not what I am here to talk about. As you can see on the screen here, we have Ilja Dragunov, we have a certain championship, and we have Rusev, who returned the night after WrestleMania, the championship beating the Intercontinental Championship, of course. Now, I would like to talk about, hello Big J, keep texting me, that's where I get the ping from. But I would like to talk about something in regards to Ilja Dragunov, because he has been out since September of 2024. So September of last year, he's been out. He was diagnosed with a torn ACL in a match against Gunther at a house show, a show that was not televised. And it was viewed as a big loss at the time, because necessarily he wasn't too enshrined with the fans yet. And here is Big Jake laughing at my stuff. Now you hear the ping again. He wasn't exactly ingratiated with the fans just yet, but he was getting there. He had really good matches with Ricochet, Braun Breaker. He was really getting himself up into that upper echelon of superstar. They teased him feuding with Gunther, who at the time was the World Heavyweight Champion. And anybody who knows NXT UK and followed during that era knows the classic rivalry and the classic matches between Ilja Dragunov and Gunther, who at the time was called Walter. So this is going to be a little bit different of an episode. This isn't going to be a reaction to what happened, because it was over a year ago. It's not going to be a reaction to his return or trying to speculate when his return will be, although I have heard some news writers say that he should be coming back fairly soon, and that makes sense. 6 to 9 months is usually generally time for an ACL tear. But this is going to be a video where I fantasy book, where I pretty much show and tell what I would like to see from Ilja Dragunov when he comes back, because when he's on his game and when he's 100%, he is an enthralling superstar. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he uses that to his advantage. He gets the emotion of the crowd unlike any other. He's able to take ungodly amounts of punishment and really get the fans behind him, on his side, and with that fan support, he's able to convert that into energy, which then gets him riled up and is able to take down his opponent. Now, he's somebody who works best when he's with bigger opponents. Obviously, he's a little bit smaller, but just because, like, he can work with anybody and he can have great matches with anybody, don't get me wrong. But his specialty and his strong suit is when he is being portrayed as that underdog. And it's not necessarily like a Rudy underdog where it's like, yeah, go kid. It's like, oh my God, this guy's taking a lot of punishment. Like, come on, please, like, survive. You know, he's that good at making you believe he's getting his ass kicked that you root for him in that way. And when he comes back, it's not just like a, yeah, feel-good moment. It's like, I don't know, it brings the emotion out of you that not a lot of people are able to do. But without further ado, let's talk about it. Ilja Dragunov, fantasy booking, his return into the WWE. Now, on August 31st is slated for the next premium live event for WWE. It is going to be Clash in Paris. As of right now, only one match has been confirmed for that event, that being Stephanie Vaquer versus Naomi for the Women's World Championship. It could be Io Sky, depending on what happens next week on Monday Night Raw. But my prediction is Naomi's going to retain her championship by hook or by crook, and we're going to get Stephanie Vaquer versus Naomi. That right now was the only match announced for the show. They have a few weeks to do it, though. It's only August 6th, so let's give that some time. But if, and this is a big if he's healthy to do it, this is where I'm going to have him. If he's healthy, I'm going to have him return at Clash in Paris. Because the European crowds, any other crowds that are outside of the United States, are very wise to who certain superstars, people who aren't very fond of in the United States, are. So if you go to Europe, if you go somewhere else that is outside the United States, the crowd knows who a lot of the foreign wrestlers are. They appreciate their return more than maybe people in the United States would. They're kind of like that. They know how to appreciate things better than US crowds do, which is honestly kind of a shame if we're talking from American standards, but that's besides the point. And I'm going to have him return there. I'm not going to give him this huge ovation. I'm not going to let him come out and do this promo, but he's going to be in a backstage segment where Kathy Kelly or Jackie Redmond goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, please let me welcome back after 9 months, Ilja Dragunov." The crowd goes wild, interviews him, asks him, "Ilja, what are your plans now that you're back?" And his first plan is to take down the Judgment Day. Because after SummerSlam 2024, when Finn Balor turned on Damian Priest, cost him the World Heavyweight Championship, and kind of exiled Priest and Rhea Ripley from the group, afterwards Finn Balor, even though they said there were no leaders, became the leader of the Judgment Day. And afterwards, in the very recent aftermath of that happening, there was kind of a lot of teasing going on that Ilja Dragunov and the Judgment Day were going to go at it, and they were going to start a rivalry against each other. So why not revisit that? Make him go to an environment that he was comfortable with and he was familiar with, and let him start off that way. So don't thrust him into the title picture right away, although we will be getting there. Let him go against the Judgment Day. Let him go and fight Finn Balor. Let him fight JD McDonough. Let him fight Dominic Mysterio. Let him kind of get his footing about him, wrestle people who he's familiar with and people who he's going to get good matches out of. And that is a really good way to warm himself and ingratiate himself back into the crowd here in the United States. And it's going to get his footing underneath him without immediately thrusting him into that spotlight. But going back to Clash in Paris on August 31st, obviously AJ Styles on this past Monday Night Raw said and showed that he was not done with Dirty Dominic Mysterio. So I assume that they're going to have a rematch there at Clash in Paris. And look, I wasn't right about my SummerSlam prediction in my preview in my previous episode of Ginormous, but I will say that at this point I will predict that AJ Styles will defeat Dirty Dominic Mysterio to become the new Intercontinental Champion. And once again, after AJ Styles I predict to win, they do a backstage segment. They're like, "AJ Styles, you're the new Intercontinental Champion. Congratulations. What's next for you?" And AJ is talking, and then all of a sudden, in that vignette, you see Ilja Dragunov and him have a bit of a stare-off. And you don't say this is coming right away, but you tease a match for sometime in the future between AJ Styles and Ilja Dragunov. So that right there kind of plants the seed and gets the fans excited. And once again, the people in Paris are going to be very wise to how good of a match that is. Even though AJ is a little bit past his prime, they'll certainly appreciate it, give it the ovation and respect that it deserves. And hopefully that builds a lot of excitement and tells people, okay, this is going to be a big deal. So now that we have what Ilja is doing in the immediate future out of the way, he is going to be feuding with the Judgment Day, let's just say for a month and a half, like I said, to get his footing underneath him. Let's talk about AJ Styles real quick. Obviously, we can have him, if you want, give him a rematch against Dirty Dom, because once you lose the championship, you should be given a rematch. That's kind of been a rule, has been on and off for years, but let's just give Dirty Dom the rematch, because I think he's popular enough people will care and want that for him, and we'll have AJ Styles win that rematch, and he retains the Intercontinental Championship. Now, with all that out of the way, we're going to have AJ Styles kind of go on a John Cena run, where, let's just say for about a month. Hello, Dominic. Let's just say for about a month, AJ Styles goes on a John Cena run where every week he does open challenges and gives new superstars, new wrestlers who are kind of thirsty and hungry for opportunities, the spotlight, and gives them championship matches and instantly raises their credibility. AJ Styles is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. If he issues an open challenge and you let young up-and-comers accept that challenge, then guess what? That is going to raise their credibility. Hello, Dominic, once again. So, once he goes through that little run, I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy it. AJ's great. Everyone's going to love it. He's going to eventually run into a buzzsaw that is Rusev. And if you look right underneath me, you will see Rusev. Now, lately he's been feuding with Sheamus. Next week on Monday Night Raw, he's going to be facing Sami Zayn. So let's see if maybe that's the path that they go down. I don't know if Rusev versus Sami Zayn is in the cards, but that is what it is looking like potentially. But eventually Rusev opens or answers the open challenge, and he defeats AJ Styles. And this can be just on a Monday Night Raw. It doesn't have to be on a pay-per-view. It doesn't have to be this grand event. But it'll be the main event of Monday Night Raw, and Rusev will accept the open challenge of AJ Styles and defeat him. And Rusev will become your new Intercontinental Champion. And that is going to raise the eyebrows. That's going to be a huge win, a landmark victory for Rusev. If you remember years back, Rusev and AJ Styles at Extreme Rules fought over the WWE Championship. AJ Styles won, but this is a far different Rusev, and this is a far different AJ Styles. This time, Rusev, all these years later, picks up the victory. So, what is it that we have now? We have Rusev, and we have Ilja Dragunov. Rusev is your Intercontinental Champion. Ilja Dragunov just coming off a feud with the Judgment Day. Maybe he even cost JD McDonough and Finn Balor the Tag Team Championships. What happens there? So, after he gets finished with that feud, Ilja Dragunov goes and makes his intentions clear that he wants the Intercontinental Championship. Now, why is this important? Why do I think this would be good? Is because, like I said earlier in the show, Ilja Dragunov can have a great match with anybody, is a true specialist, and anything you make him, he will do his best and will always succeed pretty much in turning it into gold. But Ilja Dragunov works best when fighting bigger, physical guys who are made out to be monsters, and I think that Rusev would be a really strong opponent for Ilja Dragunov. And the beauty about Ilja Dragunov is that he doesn't have to win all the time. If you want Ilja Dragunov to chase it, have Rusev be like, okay, but you have to earn it first. You can have this. I'm a fighting champion. I'm a proud Intercontinental Champion. I will make this title prestigious, unlike everybody who has been before me, but I'm not going to fight for free. I'm a prize fighter. If you would like a shot at my championship, you have to earn it. And Ilja Dragunov can struggle to get his shot. Put him in the ring. I mean, hell, bring Omos. Have Rusev be like, you have to fight this man. Have him fight Omos. Try his hardest, and Omos eventually wins because he's 7'4" tall, and he's just a beast and a monster. You can do that. Have him face Braun Breaker. I know that wouldn't make a lot of sense, but guys like Braun Breaker, big physical beings who Ilja Dragunov will have to overcome. Have him, I mean, they're crossing superstars over from SmackDown and Raw. Have him face Drew McIntyre. I'm not giving you these names, and these are the names that he has to face, but have him face these bigger guys. Have him face these physically dominant and imposing guys who will give Ilja Dragunov a struggle, and eventually, you know, he loses the first couple of times, but he remains persistent and eventually earns the title shot against Rusev. Let's just say at War Games, or maybe at a Saturday night's main event if we want to go a little bit more recent and sooner than November, which makes a lot of sense. But let's just say a Saturday night's main event in October. That's when Ilja Dragunov gets his shot at Rusev in for the Intercontinental Championship. Ilja Dragunov, at his first attempt, loses. Ilja Dragunov loses because Rusev is a beast. You don't just want to create Rusev and have Rusev become the Intercontinental Championship just for him to lose it at his first defense at the next deserving champion. No, like, you want to build a story out of it. David versus Goliath stories are only great if Goliath wins every once in a while, or else why is David winning so special? Do you know what I'm saying? So have Rusev win the first match, retain the championship, and really beat down on Ilja Dragunov in the aftermath of the match. Make it be like, man, this is just somebody who Ilja cannot overcome. This is somebody who Ilja Dragunov is really going to struggle to beat, and, you know, have Ilja Dragunov be written off of TV for a little while. Make Rusev, in the process of him eventually, spoiler alert, losing the Intercontinental Championship, mean something. Have Rusev beat Ilja up and beat him down so badly that you don't see Ilja Dragunov for 2, maybe 3 weeks because his injuries caused at the hands of Rusev are so severe. Eventually, though, Ilya Dragunov is going to come back. Ilya Dragunov is going to come back with a vengeance, not only for the Intercontinental Championship, but, no pun intended, to redeem his loss in that critical beatdown against Rusev. And he wants his revenge, and he wants that revenge in the payment of gold. So, Rusev says, okay, you can have one more match, but only if you go through a gauntlet match. Let's just throw 3 wrestlers out there. Grayson Waller, and in the New Day. You know, they're a new group. Maybe have it a 3-on-1 handicap match. Maybe have it a gauntlet match. But why not that? Kind of the 3 people like Grayson Waller and the New Day. Ilya Dragunov goes through and survives, but he is in a bad way. And then Rusev, after the gauntlet match that Ilya Dragunov miraculously wins, puts in the accolade, injures Ilya so bad he has taped up ribs for their eventual rematch at Survivor Series War Games in November. But when those 2 face off once again, it is Rusev, it is Ilya Dragunov. It's in a last man standing match. Ilya Dragunov's ribs are taped before even going into it. And this is where the art of an Ilya Dragunov Extreme Rules, no disqualification match, whatever you want to call it, whatever version of it you please, goes into effect. Have Rusev beat down Ilya Dragunov so badly. Have it be an uncomfortable beatdown to the point where you're watching it, and obviously WWE is scripted entertainment, but you're starting to doubt if Ilya Dragunov is really as hurt as he's portraying himself or not. That's how real it should get. Rusev in this defeat should look strong. He should make it look like the only reason why he lost was because Ilya had a horseshoe up his you-know-what. Rusev beats him down badly. The referee is about to get to the count of 10. Ilya just barely, every single time there's a big move, Ilya just barely gets back up on his feet. And eventually, Ilya Dragunov, he hits the H-bomb, he hits Torpedo Moscow, he puts in the sleeper hold, maybe, I don't know if this is a little too much, maybe with like a chain around his neck to really sell the fact that he has to slay this monster that is Rusev. Rusev passes out, can't answer the count of 10, and Ilya Dragunov is your new Intercontinental Champion. You know, from there, he can defend it against other superstars, and he can really, cement himself as that future main eventer, because the Workhorse Championship is the Intercontinental Championship, and so many main eventers first start off by winning the Intercontinental Championship. And then if you want, this is just a personal me thing, but if you want the next night on Monday Night Raw, just to tease once again for the future, eventually when both men are in the main event scene, which Gunther already is by now, but Ilya hopefully at one point will be as well. If you want, you can even have Gunther come out and say, one day you and I will fight again, but in the meantime, you better make that championship that I made prestigious again, just as prestigious as I did. And that's just, once again, that's just a little bit of a personal flair, but I do think that that's a great way for Rusev to look great. He can look like this big, physical, imposing monster. Obviously, he gets to hold the Intercontinental Championship for a little bit, kind of as like a test to see how he is with a title belt. He looks really strong against a really good opponent that is Ilya Dragunov, who will sell his offense really well, make Rusev look like the beast he's intended to be. Rusev will eventually move up. He'll become into the world title scene, and he doesn't even get pinned. So Rusev loses the belt. He doesn't even need to get pinned by Dragunov throughout this whole feud. Rusev gets a submission win in their first match against one another. Ilya's the Intercontinental Champion. He gets on his own way and eventually takes on all comers, any and all opponents that come his way. And, really, I think that is it. It doesn't have to be this huge convoluted story. It's Ilya comes back, feuds with the Judgment Day. Rusev takes the Intercontinental Championship from AJ Styles after AJ Styles gets a short little run and one that the fans can look back fondly on. Rusev gets to look strong, beats Ilya Dragunov, gets a submission victory over somebody who refuses to quit. That's not nothing. That's really something that Rusev can have a new notch in his belt about, kind of have a feather in his cap. And then eventually Ilya Dragunov comes back and he wins in the rematch, and boom, he is now your Intercontinental Champion. I don't know if this will happen. I don't know if this is anywhere close. me personally, this is just something that I would like to see. I think it would be really good for all parties that are involved, and obviously Judgment Day is awesome. They get their notoriety as well. So yeah, guys, that's really it. That's what I have today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully everything that I'm saying makes sense. Hopefully you're all able to follow it well. Once again, I would just like to say thank you to everybody for your support. Every time I make a post or a graphic on Instagram, there's a lot of likes, a lot of interactions that go with it. I would just like to say thank you to everybody. The support means the world to me. It really makes me want to continue to go forward with this. And this is Ginormous number 11. This has been Ginormous number 11. And I would just like to say thank you guys for listening. Have a good rest of your night. And there will be a lot more content to come in the future.